Welcome back to the Big Ranch Show. Thank you for joining me. This video is going to be very difficult. If you're easily triggered, especially by abuse or unaliving, please click off the video now. But this morning, I woke up to some terrible news of an event that took place back around February 8th here in Oklahoma. And it fills me with sadness, but also just a complete rage to know what's happening in this country and how nobody's doing a damn thing to stop it. This was 16-year-old Nex Benedict. They were non-binary, used they, them pronouns, and they were murdered by some classmates at their school. Let me get you some context here. According to the Owasso Police Department here in Oklahoma, they're over not too far from Tulsa. The Owasso Police Department has notified the district leaders of the death of an Owasso High School student. The student's name and cause of death have not been made public by the department. As this is an active police investigation, we'll have no additional comment at this time. Further inquiries should be directed at the Owasso Police Department. And they went on to say that the district will have additional counselors on hand at the school. Okay, this poor child was beaten to the point that they could not walk. They could not walk to the nurse's station. The school did not call an ambulance. A family member had to pick the child up from the school to take them to the hospital. They were released, brought back the next day where they died. I'm going to be very careful with my words here. But I will tell you this. This is absolutely horrifying. According to a mother of another student who was being attacked by the same group of people, 3 other girls were beating on the victim and her daughter in the bathroom, according to this woman. The woman says, I know at one point, one of the girls was pretty much beating their head across the floor. That's when a teacher walked in and broke it up. According to the mother of the daughter of her daughter, the mother of the other victim in the attack, Nex couldn't walk to the nurse's station on their own, and staff didn't bother to call an ambulance. Which amazes me, she said. The woman told 2 News the victim's grandmother, who they primarily lived with, brought them to the hospital after the fight. The victim was released that evening, but brought back the next day, where she died. This child was murdered. From all evidence that I have seen so far, because they were non-binary. And what would spur this on? What would cause students to lose their minds to the point that they beat someone to death because they were non-binary? What would have done it? I believe the students that did the beating, as well as their parents, should be held criminally liable for what happened. The students should be facing murder charges, and the parents should be facing involuntary manslaughter charges. Plain and simple. Because people don't just do this. Kids don't just act out in hate without being directed by a parent or somebody close to the family. Kids don't just turn out hateful to the point of murder. Kids aren't born to hate. Hate is a learned situation or learned trait. You do not come out of the womb knowing to hate. Children prove that time and again, and that's what conservatives are terrified of. They're terrified that kids could learn compassion, empathy, and understanding. These two here have this child's blood on their hands. Kevin Stit, who you see in the picture here, on the right, you see Kevin Stit. On the left, you see one Ryan Walters. Kevin Stit, of course, is the governor of Oklahoma. Ryan Walters, you may not know if you're not from the Oklahoma area, but he is a far-right fascist who is the superintendent of schools here in Oklahoma, who has been intent on banning any book that has anything to do with the LGBTQ community. You know, anything that says that they're okay, right? Even if it's age appropriate, right? He doesn't want books about LGBTQ people in high schools, colleges, or anything. But his thing, you know, because he's the superintendent of schools, is mostly K through 12, but he's done some stuff to some of the higher education places as well, including killing the OU transgender studies unit at the university that helped people that were of both both minors and adults seek gender affirming treatment. Here in Oklahoma, that very rarely involved any kind of medical transition at the university. But it was, OU Medicine did have a section that worked with minor transgender people. But these two people hate the LGBTQ community. They hate trans people. They hate non-binary people more than even the rest of the LGBTQ plus community. Since I have lived here, Kevin Stitt has done nothing but attack the LGBTQ community. Ryan Walters, since he was appointed to the position of superintendent of Oklahoma schools, has done nothing but push the LGBTQ community, some evil group of people who need to be eradicated. That's the kind of stuff that this man supports. Ryan Walters is a fascist. Don't let anyone fool you. And Kevin Stitt is the one that put him there. And they are pretty much to blame for a lot of this. But you know who else is to blame? This woman right here. I'm going to butcher her name because I have no clue how to pronounce it. Chaya Rachik? Chaya Rachik? The founder and creator of Libs of TikTok? A far-right fascist a social media account that pushes a narrative of fear about the transgender community, who not too long ago attacked the school at Owasso High School, pushing this fear narrative about a teacher who happened to do drag on the weekends in their own time. I've yet to see a report where that teacher actually did anything that affected the students in their own time, except be a drag queen. So, and this is what this woman does. This is what the Libs of TikTok accounts do. They push a fear narrative against the trans community in order to rile people up into a fervor to where they commit crimes of violence against trans people and non-binary people and the LGBTQ community at large. That's what she does. That's what the Libs of TikTok do. So here is where I suggest something. If anyone out there watches this video, not only share this video everywhere, because these three people have blood on their hands. And not only is this woman here directly causing these harms to trans people and violence against the LGBTQ community across the country, with her annex, with her bullshit, with her attacks on innocent people, saying that they need to be eradicated, giving cover to Nazis, to unalive people. Since she started her campaign a few years ago, attacks on transgender people have skyrocketed, some 30%. So if you have any information, any dirt on Miss Rayek here, the email is bigrancho@gmail.com, because I would love to take this woman down. And if I don't feel like I can, if you have any information that I get from you, dirt on this woman that turns out to be legitimate, and I don't believe that I can get it to a mass group of people, I will find people who will. Here at the Big Rancho, we fight for the innocent. That's what we do here. That's what progressives do. We don't stand idly by and act as if it's not happening. It's not how the Big Rancho works. That's not how progressives are supposed to work. If I can find any dirt on any one of the three that are responsible for a lot of the uptick in attacks against transgender people here in Oklahoma, Kevin Stit, Ryan Walters, or Chaya Revik, then I will do what I can to get that information out. I am beyond angry at this. I cannot believe what transpired in Owasso. This child didn't deserve this. And even if it comes out that it wasn't directly tied to them being non-binary, if that happens to come out at any point, it still shouldn't have happened. There's no excuse for a child to be dead of a beating. But as of right now, it looks like a hate crime. It looks like this child was aggressively beaten and attacked, had their heads slammed into the floor over and over again for the crime of being non-binary. I hope people realize that this is just the start of what's happening in this country. The LGBTQ community was the first one of the first communities that the Nazis went after. They started with the transgender people, the gay people, the lesbians, the non-binary people, the people that didn't fit in to their narrative. Then they went after the gypsies and the Jews. It always starts off that way. They go after the most marginalized groups they can find first, and then they start turning it on bigger populations. Because every step of the way, they feel like they can get away with it. Well, I'd be damned if they're going to get away with it in this country. As I said, if you have any dirt on any of the three people, Kevin Stit, Ryan Walters, or Che Rivik, please hit me up, bigranchshow@gmail.com. This has been the Big Ranch Show. Stay safe out there.